Okay, the recording has started.
All right, hello. It's September 16th. I'm in upstate New York. This is the chapter leaders meeting. Hello, Patson. Hello, Jonathan. And of course, hello, Sarah from her new hot residence in Senegal, Africa. What's new? Sarah, you have been on a whirlwind tour since our last chapter leaders meeting. You want to
Yeah,
just name the places and the enable relevant events that you're going to be writing about?
yeah. So I got to visit e-NABLE chapters in Turkey and Singapore. Um, and that was wonderful. So I'll be writing about that.
Tell us a
And
little about the events themselves.
okay, okay. So um in Turkey, I got to meet some of the families, the recipient families, um, and I got to meet with the um, director of a documentary, and she has spent a lot of time filming an excellent documentary about the e-NABLE chapter in Turkey. So I will be following up with them and um, just about um, uh, helping just a little bit with the English subtitles, hopefully. And um, I so there were a couple of good ideas um, came out of that. The week that I spent with them. Um, so the Turkey chapter would like to have um, more um, more support, and they think that that would be easier if they could point to scientific papers about the benefits of e-NABLE devices. So they asked for our help with that. Um, scientific papers that they could show to say that their devices work. And
I did send you some papers. I think the one by Safe Savage and um, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name, but she's, I think, the first author is the most recent, and therefore it will cite previous studies. Does that
um,
ring a bell, or should I find it?
uh, let me, I can look and see if I have it, and if I don't,
Okay, I'm
I'll ask
putting
you
a
to,
link
okay.
into the chat momentarily.
Um, and then the other idea that came from that is something that actually I was wondering if you could help me with, Madison. But one of the parents uh was asking about um sort of uh this social well-being for his daughter, and he was worried about her being the only child with one arm in her class. Um, so um, I wondered, why don't we have a Zoom group for kids that could meet monthly or quarterly and have different themes, and maybe a couple of adult mentors that could be moderating, and it could be a place for um, just kids to get together and meet each other. And like a theme example that I had was like back to school, and um, what are you excited about for getting back to school? And what do you say when another kid says, hey, why do you only have one arm? So like if you had any ideas for who to reach out to and how to best advertise that, and how to kind of tackle the possibility of different languages spoken over Zoom. I don't know, I thought that would be one of the things that I've wanted to promote since I started here, and just I guess haven't really yet, is more participation from within the disability community, so that it's not focused on makers, but on people that could benefit from what is being made. So yeah. So that was Turkey. And then
Why
Singapore,
why don't we
sorry.
pause and
Okay.
reflect on that?
Okay.
Madison, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say or in chat, but I'd be down to help you, Sarah, to kind of brainstorm and work on this idea and implementing. I guess some things I was thinking about what I can do right now is I could reach out to the few kids that Enable DC has helped. It's been a few years, but I can kind of reach out to them, or rather their parents, because that's the point of contact, to see if one their children would be interested in participating, and then just kind of going from there to see the interest. So I can kind of start there.
That
Okay.
sounds good. And Sarah, it occurs to me that if you could also recruit one or two people from Turkey, they have a nice international forum. Okay,
Okay.
That's a
And
start.
then Singapore, um, that was really cool. I thought that I'm gonna write about Singapore just as a model for what an e-NABLE chapter could be. So they meet every Sunday. They have a really, really nice makerspace in a giant library in Singapore, and they have like every Sunday at the beginning, the chapter leaders will give a presentation kind of welcoming everyone and introducing everyone to 3D printing, and making sure that everyone knows that they don't have to be engineers to participate. And they have a lot of different adaptive tech things that they've developed outside of hands. So like a one-handed keyboard, one-handed nail clipper, one-handed can opener, those types of things. And they also they have these multicolored sticky notes, and he has a set of questions that he asks everyone at every meeting. Just, why are you here? What are you excited about? And he collects all of the sticky notes and puts them in a binder, so that there's a record of every meeting. And the library that they meet at also gives classes on 3D printing. So yeah, it was really cool. I got to interview someone who was there. They were helping brainstorm different devices for him. It was an adult who'd had a stroke several years prior, and had no longer had use of one of his arms, and was just looking for different devices that might make his everyday life easier. And yeah, so that was Singapore. And there was just a lot of engagement and excitement, and people kind of learning about what 3D printing is. And I thought that that was really cool, that there's this model to introduce new people to it every Sunday. And then I also
Pause.
okay.
It occurs to me that those two stories could go together. That live streaming one of those weekend events with it could be very much like the first thing you suggested.
Yeah,
Okay. You
Okay.
know, the way to advance on this is not to try to do everything, but to try to do something that can grow. Um, Madison might want to think about whether she can prototype it in Washington at the library. Washington would be a great place for this kind of thing because it might generate buzz and visitors and influencers from the Washington area. And Sarah, you're going to be writing up templates for both of these. It doesn't have to be polished, just enough to then think about what we might actually do.
templates for, but both of what?
A description of both events or a synthesis of the two, just as a description, just paralleling what you've just said in your ad hoc manner, something that a document or a, you know, just a bulleted list of the things that would want to come together for an event of this kind. And then, without putting Madison on the spot now, we will suggest that in her new role, that would be a great deliverable and prototype for us. Okay. Everybody's still here? Sarah, did you want to continue or did you finish your recap?
Yeah, I mean, the last e-NABLE related stop, I went to Kenya, and there isn't an e-NABLE chapter there, but there is a different organization, it's called Ghani, and they have printed, I think, a couple of e-NABLE designs in the past, but they work with prosthetists and they focus mostly on lower limb prosthetics, but with an e-NABLE partnership and e-NABLE funding, they could potentially deliver enable arms to people who need them. And so we had talked about kind of helping them submit a proposal and expanding an e-NABLE presence to a place where it could be.
Yeah. So that's great, Sarah. Yeah, you know, finding good partners in Africa has been difficult because unlike you, we are rarely in that very, very, very big continent. But you met with them, you saw that they're doing credible lower limb work and that they're working with prosthetists. So they sound like they could be great people to work with.
Yeah.
So what will it take to get some traction on that?
Well, I mean, I'll follow up with Florian and talk to him about submitting a proposal and
So this is Florian's group that you're talking about here,
yes.
Uganda.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so we're on that. Well, that's great. And you met Florian in person.
Florian, yes, we met in person.
And did you see any of their activities?
Yeah, I mean, they showed me their printers. I met a prosthetist. I didn't meet any recipients or like see devices, but I saw kind of their workshop.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. If you know, Florian, I think is a go-getter, and he's actually doing what needs to be done. So I would love to develop that relationship. Cool. And now you're back in Senegal,
Yeah.
where I gather there is no e-NABLE activity that you know of.
No, but I mean, Florian talked to me about like he has I'll follow up with him, a contact who um has sort of been involved with 3D printing activity in, French speaking West African countries.
Hmm.
And there is apparently a maker space here. I don't know if anything happens there, but I mean, I can email them and see. But
Well,
yeah,
it's worth knowing. I'm not suggesting that it would be a good use of
Yeah.
your paid time to actually
Yeah.
try to establish a chapter, but it would be good to know. Okay, cool. So there you are.
yeah.
I know that my next question for you and Jonathan has to do with the status of the map. I saw that you did send the data to Jonathan, but just recently. Jonathan, have you received it? Are we ready to update the map?
Yep, I received it. I have not started opening it up to look at it yet, but I am queued up and ready to go, I believe.
Jonathan, I was just gonna say, I hope you haven't started, because when I invited every single chapter leader to our meeting today, I got a bunch of last minute responses from chapters who I had marked as inactive saying, wait, sorry, we never responded over the summer, we're active. So glad I updated it just now, but I'm glad you haven't started yet. So
And
Yeah.
what you're dealing with, Sarah, is a live Google Doc, yes?
yes.
Okay. So let's talk for a moment about, I guess, once, Jonathan, you have copied her information into the Google Doc that actually drives the map, then as Sarah gets updates, will she be able to just tweak it, or what's the protocol going to be to keep this thing fresh?
I haven't looked at the list itself, but I'm thinking if we have like another column that says reactivate or something like that, that we can update post-secondary after that then.
Okay. So, Jonathan, I think it's time for you to do it and write a little memo saying, here's how we're going to keep this up to date going forward. You can add the column if you think that's the right thing. You can confirm that it works. If it doesn't, we have to figure out why. And that will be a landmark transition. So that's good. So now I stop nagging Sarah and I start nagging Jonathan. And thank you both for your service, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me too. I really appreciate it.
A couple of things I wanted to follow up on about the map. And they were in so um, the email to you, John. But the one person who responded saying that their chapter was inactive in Mexico and they didn't have a 3D printer and they wanted to start a new chapter as soon as they could find a 3D printer. Can we help them get a 3D printer if that's the only barrier?
Yes, I'm sure we can. Well, let's remember that Ian Roy has a number of 3D printers, or had, but I think he still has, at Brandeis to pass along. And maybe we pay for shipping, or it might be, or maybe he can pay for shipping, or it might be cheaper just to for the price of a printer is something that the steering committee, the town hall meeting, could elect to do, assuming it's under $1,000. So let's just ask a few more questions. He is reviving, there was a chapter, he proposes to revive it now?
I think just start a new one.
Start a new one, okay? What do
That-
we know about the status of what do we know about the old one besides that it's?
That it's no longer active? Nothing. I don't know. I'd have to follow up with him.
Okay, you know, if
Yes.
I remember correctly, it was Safe Savage's brother, whose name is also Savage, who was an anchor of that chapter. And Ben Rubin spent some time and worked with them. So why don't you check with them? It's even possible that their printer is sitting in a closet somewhere and can just be moved across Mexico City to the Revive chapter.
Okay.
All right.
And then the other thing, this really bugged me as I was going through all of the chapters. Like, enable is spelled so many different ways. And there's like, even with Enable Turkey for the documentary, there was confusion about the Enable name and is it called, it's that, that it was thought that it was called Enabling the Future, but that's not the name of
Yeah.
Enable. So all of the chapters are listed as Enable lowercase, Enable capitalized, Enable with a dash, Enable without a dash, enabling. So I just thought that, especially if we want Enable to be more recognizable and for potential recipients or for
Yep.
the media, that we should sort of try to have it be uniform and try to ask and on the map list chapters as lowercase e dash capital enable and ask chapters themselves to call themselves enable. I
So
don't
what do
know.
you think about the following? Why don't we just standardize the map, which it's a good moment to do, and write to them all saying, when the map goes live, congratulations, we have updated the map. Please note that we've corrected or standardized the spelling. We would be very, very, very grateful if you would do the same thing for your own websites and Facebook pages and everything else,
Okay.
so that at least the map will be consistent. And it's a good way of communicating to our live chapters that we mean it.
Okay.
Okay, so who's going to do, why don't you do it on the spreadsheet and pass it to Jonathan, or Jonathan, you can do that, and then we only have to nag you.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I can take that on.
Okay, terrific. Okay, these are lots of good developments. What else is cooking? Madison, how about an update on your outreach activities?
Yeah, sure. So,
Are we able to see your smiling face?
yeah, I kind of look like a bum at home, but let me just say hi. Oh my
There
God,
we
that's so
go.
close. Hi.
Hi.
My whole cat.
It's a great look with the glasses and the headphones.
Yes.
You practically look like an animated avatar.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is me. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Outreach has been going well. I've been, trying to document in several Excel sheets that I've made in a drive that I've shared in the outreach forum in Hub Enable. Just for anyone that wants to kind of follow along and see, how I've been kind of documenting Enable DC's outreach. So let me see. So some ones to highlight is, trying to find ways to advertise in the community. So the most recent efforts was just advertising in some local, I guess for me, local gyms, because I go rock climbing, and there's these community boards for all kinds of things. So I, am working on, and I made a flyer myself that I can kind of, maybe if I could share.
Yes, why don't you do a screen share and walk us through your
Yeah.
role and how you're doing this?
Let's see. Because I guess for me, just trying to kind of make it easier is just, my lifestyle, I'm like, active, both athletic, and also I like to do events like recently there was a Ren fair. So, I tried to um, share business cards there too. So just kind of finding fun ways to outreach that way. Give me 1 second to figure out how to host disabled participant screen sharing. I guess would I be able to get access to do screen sharing?
Yeah, Sarah, can you give her permission?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Madison, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, sweet. Thank you, Sarah. Let me share my screen now. Okay. Awesome. Can you see my screen? Okay, so this is kind of my folder. Let's see, outreach documents. So this is kind of, just a example of how I'm kind of trying to capture,
That's
the
good.
timeline, and like clients
Oh,
I have
hold it,
listed.
Hold it, hold it.
Oh, sorry.
Slow down. This is great. I know you shared it before, but this is our first chance to take a look at it. Go back
Yeah.
to the summary, please.
Yep.
All right, month 1, research and stakeholder mapping. So is that what you're doing now?
Yeah, so it's kind of I'm actually, so this was my initial bullet kind of project timeline for when I did the proposal. Realistically, I'm month 1 to 2 is also kind of blurring with month 3 and 4 because I'm also still researching while at the same time doing outreach materials. But yes, so this is
Okay, so then development and outreach materials, you've already begun to show us some of those, and implementation of outreach activities and engagement. We talked about that earlier, more to come, evaluation of impact, etc. It's a nice plan. Okay, now I'm ready to look at the next.
okay, awesome.
Look at this.
So it's just another way of I'm trying to really be thoughtful in how, I'm capturing this so that other, chapters can, adopt this. So, this is just kind of another visual, way of looking at, the project and the progress.
Hold on a second, let me just
Mhm.
look at it. So I see you set it up. You have initial research and meet with potential stakeholders and collaborators. And you have business cards, which I hope you're going to show us. And have you actually made your volunteer t-shirt designs?
Yes, and I can actually show that as well.
Okay,
And they were,
this
sorry,
is
go ahead.
great. You flash these things and you assume that we all know what they say. I'm giving
Sorry.
myself and the rest of us time to absorb it and
Yes.
think about it. Give me a second here. Okay, so I hope you're going to give us some kind of an overview and summary of the results of your initial research and meet.
Mhm.
But
So,
you can go through in whatever order you like. Client overview,
okay.
and that's sensible.
So I think this is just kind of a rough, just way to try to, I think I was trying to count how many active people, but let me just scroll to this one because this is kind of the one that captures a lot more. So for example, I guess one notable recent kind of collaboration is with the Driving Miss M team, so I've kind of written her as, or listed Masha, the director. And I guess I haven't, I've kind of taken some notes of their information. And then, I was going to kind of use this column to just kind of write notes for myself and for anyone of what's any updates. So I forgot to update it here, but one of the updates is, sharing via social media. So, she driving this shared, enable the feature on their social media posts, specifically Instagram. So kind of, I also took the initiative on behalf of Enable DC to share it as well. So hoping to, keep that as a continuing thing of just promoting each other.
Okay, now you're
and-
going deeper than.
Oh,
we have
sorry. You
No,
should.
It's fantastic what you've done. So let me just see what I can tell. First of all, it's a great list of people you have identified. I see that you have contacted, blah, 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 blah. You have stage, most of them, because it's early yet. Stage is not defined and the status is not started, but your plan is to expand into this more deeply.
Yes.
It's great. This is really inspiring. I appreciate it. Keep going.
Yes. What was I going to say? But I think that was just kind of my. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for stopping me, because I kind of get sidetracked into some
But we all do.
details.
That's what we pay these big bucks. That's right.
But yeah. So this this is the goal to capture the statuses. Like you said, I haven't started it, but I guess to just kind of be open about it is to reach out to the MP2 coalition organizations that are POCs, that point of contacts that I've identified, as well as a few others that I've listed below. I mentioned the climbing gyms, because I've noticed as a fellow kind of climber and attendee of gyms, there's a lot of visibility, and there's different communities that go to the gyms. And I think there's also, I'll have to kind of get out of my comfort zone to reach out, but I know there is some climbers with effective limbs that climb too. So just knowing that those, type of folks kind of visit my local gym, my climbing gym, I saw that as this is a great opportunity to advertise Enable DC. So I, for this one in Columbia, and I'm hoping to just go to each gym and just, advertise, put a flyer on the community board for all to see, and I'll show you the flyer. That's
great. Over time, we're going to learn whether gyms are a good place to be hunting and whether Ren fairs are a good place to be hunting. I think there's no harm in starting with the places
Yeah.
But you're also going to want to expand beyond your natural habitat.
Right. Exactly. This is, I'm just kind of going through what my tabs are. This is just kind of describing what the stages mean. And then here's, I'm trying to be better at documenting events, but I think the one notable one that's coming up for Enable DC is Maker Faire Nova, which is, I've never been to, but I know that it started in Cali, and now there's, they're bringing it back up for Northern Virginia. So just kind of documenting these.
That's right. That's a critical. That's gonna make great sense.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm grateful enough to have a booth there. So we'll not just be attending as attendees, but we'll have a booth to kind of outreach and network. And, hopefully I'll have some lesson learned and just some networking contacts from that event.
You're aware that we, of course, have a whole history with the Maker Fairs. We exhibited there probably in California in 2015, maybe. And I have spoken at Maker Fairs in Moscow and in Cairo. And there are recordings of those presentations. So anything you want to do to beef up our street cred with the Maker Faire, we can help.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to kind of look at the recordings and even maybe like have a laptop to just,
Okay.
either show presentations or
that, but I do have it.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you could link me or something, that would be amazing.
Cool.
Work on that. And then these are just kind of placeholders. Hopefully I'll populate that with more stuff as I continue kind of navigating on what works and where I can outreach, but let me now switch to the marketing. So here's an example of the flyer that was just kind of me doing a mock-up, but this is a flyer that I made by myself, but because I also love dabbing into design. So this is the flyer that I posted on or one of my climbing gyms, and the QR code links to our e-NABLE DC website that we have on our own, but it's a link that I can kind of add on. So I'm going to make a note to myself to just add the enabling the future as well, or unless I should hold off on that until everything's
No, I think you should, let's face it, it's this process, but it is still a good website to point people to.
right.
So this is nice, and you did this, I'm gonna guess, in Canva?
Yeah, I did this on Google Slides.
Fine, I think
Yeah.
that's great.
It's
And so since you've given a link to the Google Slides, other people can clone it
mhm,
and adapt it for their purposes, which is great.
exactly. So you can, change the graphics for, their own photos and change the QR code, but this is all open for
Sure.
chapters. And if anyone has any questions on how to navigate this, or I can be happy to share the link directly to any chapters or leaders. So that's that. And let me see if I can get a better view of the t-shirt. Well, I don't know if I took a
You gotta
here,
click
but I'll just kind of use the screenshot of if this is okay. So I've never had t-shirts, but I definitely think it's a great way to to promote wherever we go. And I kind of was inspired to do it since the Maker Faire is coming up, to have myself and my volunteers have a shirt. So this is kind of the logo design from one of our volunteers, and I tried to kind of make it kind of fun and kind of video game inspired. So this is kind of the front of the shirt, and then the back is kind of like a fun graphic that tries to describe the qualities of an e-NABLE volunteer, or at least what I
can't read what the points are.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me so I'll just kind of
Sure.
tell you. So it's 3D printing, giving, innovating, and educating. And the one that doesn't really have the value, which is on the left side, is sleeping. So that's just kind of a little fun joke, because we're focused on all these great stuff. So we might compromise sleeping a little bit, but it's just kind of like a
Oh, I get it. I got it.
yeah.
Far right is caring,
Giving.
giving. Fair enough.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
great. Lovely. It's a communicative icon once you can read it. That's great.
Yes. So, sorry, I wasn't prepared to show it. But yes, so I'll definitely see the feedback of our volunteer, because right now it's just for our volunteers, but this might be something to maybe be a way to get donations, or fund projects. And I know other nonprofits kind of that I work with in DC kind of do that, but that's kind of a future thing. This is kind of a small scale. Let's just try this out, see how it likes, and what feedback we get just from outside people kind of seeing it in the Maker Faire. So that's kind of where they're
t-shirt maker yet?
Sorry, what?
Have you found a t-shirt printer?
Yes. So I am going with there's different ones like custom ink and whatnot. It's called OO Shirts, and I can write that down. But it seemed like the more cheaper option, just to give a ballpark for everyone, it's, shirts are going to be like maybe $21 roughly. So that, I just thought, since it's smaller, to try to go with a more cost effective company. And they also, for nonprofits, they give 10% off. So that's also really nice, to kind of leverage being a nonprofit.
Are they local, national, or international?
I don't know about international. I can confirm that they are national. So they're not a local one because
So you're in a good position here, once you've got this to, make it really trivial for people to adapt what you've done, maybe even piggyback on your relationship with that vendor and so on. So this is all just the right thing, prototyping things in Washington that will then be packageable for other chapters. Cool. I want to go back to the hub for a moment and point out that I don't think you have shared this wonderful work and folder with me. I can't find it on my drive or with the hub. So let's just take a look at.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to suggest that this recording become the next post in your forum.
Oh, yes. Let's see. Just briefly log in and double check that. Oh. Share back. I think so I put it in the outreach advance here.
Okay. Perfect.
But this, I can be happy to, post it in the general forum if that's allowable.
On the left side, I think you can customize the space.
Okay.
And I don't remember how, but I think you can. Probably by clicking on the icon, the settings icon to the right. No. Well, what you can do is just make a pinned post that puts that folder front and center, because that's a huge amount, and as you can see, it's hidden unless you know to unpack your August 2nd post. Okay, so what you might do, right, is make a new post that includes this nice link to the Google Drive folder, and perhaps a recording saying an overview of the current state of outreach and engagement, and pin it, and then we will all be up to date until you need to update your update.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Is there more you want to show us?
No, I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I think that's great. I think it's a good structure. It's a good start. Sometime soon, you're going to want to start, and I saw that you already began doing it, sort of tracking known impacts, right? You have typical links, but when there's an event, you're going to want to capture anything that's said about it. You're probably going to be doing social media posting about the Maker Faire, etc. There you go. All that good stuff. Jonathan or Sarah, do you have any suggestions or comments for Madison? Sarah's in Senegal, so I'm confident she's not going to come to the DC Maker Faire. Jonathan, where are you located?
I am in Wisconsin, so as much as I wish I could, probably not this time.
And her name is Madison. I mean, isn't that a motivator?
I know.
Okay. Okay, Madison, do you have other people who you know will be participating in your event?
So far just or in terms of like enable individuals.
Basically, event.
Right. I only know of myself and my enable DC volunteers.
You
But
know,
I'm
Matt,
happy.
you should consider, well, so making sure that you've got a few of them.
Mhm.
They will have a speaker's tent at Maker Faire. And I'm going to suggest you should volunteer to give a 15-minute presentation about e-NABLE. And, or see whether Eric Bubar, who is almost certainly going to be there himself, wants to be the speaker, or whether you do it together or something, but you can do something to elevate it beyond
Mhm.
1 out of 50 or 500 tables
Yeah.
to create a focal event that everyone can rally around. And then, of course, you'll publicize it.
Mhm.
And there you go. I think October 2nd in DC, and I wouldn't rule out that you could recruit me to go down there, is likely to be your, what do we call it? Your coming out party. And we should let other chapter leaders, especially ones who are within hailing distance,
Mhm.
know that you're letting it rip.
Mhm. Okay.
Sarah, Jonathan, any suggestions?
I don't have any suggestions, but let me know if there's anything I can help with. And I love how organized you are.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, that's great. Okay, so you want me to send you some Maker Faire hit backstory, and I will do that. And you'll let us know if you need other help and support,
Mhm.
including marketing or coordinating with local chapter leaders. I gather we did not actually have any interaction with that New Hampshire event. Is that true?
Yeah, I wasn't able or I couldn't attend. But I did just kind of note it, just as, just taking note of events first. So if people read, that's maybe some, things they can look at, for
And
future.
you are subscribed to the various e-NABLE Facebook groups as well as the hub. There's an e-NABLE R&D.
I believe
And
so.
there's a large number of e-NABLE Facebook chapters. You can find them from the map. But I think that, and do you have an email called Outreach at e-NABLE that you get to use? Or do you want
Yep.
one? You do,
Oh,
okay.
yep. I got that one. Thank you.
So that identity should probably subscribe to all of the
Awesome.
chapters you can find. And help Sarah keep track of, for example, you might well discover active chapters that are not on the map, etc.
Mhm.
And we were talking about New Hampshire. I wanted to ask whether we actually had any interchange with the Amputee Coalition.
Yes. Not yet. And that's I wasn't sure if that was gonna be a conversation when we meet Masha and Mrs. Emstein, because I know we had talked about maybe meeting with Eric Bubar in person and then kind of going from there. Or, I was also thinking of just, reaching out to, because they provided the emails directly.
When and where? It's in Phoenix, isn't it? When is their meeting?
Or meeting with,
The amputee coalition's big event.
oh, I'm not sure. I don't think I remember taking note of when they're meeting with
It's
them.
in your, on one of your spreadsheet pages,
Oh,
and I suggest that you pay a little attention to that and figure out how not to let the opportunity pass. They're a big
mhm.
one.
Right. Okay. So I'll make a note to work on that one.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you so much. This has been an information-filled and progressing meeting. Thank you all for coming. It's September, so actually the next chapter leaders meeting will be after the Maker Faire. Which means you're gonna want to be peppering us with emails as you get ready for it and recruit our help.
Yes.
Okay, great.
We'll prepare for that.
Okay, good. Well, open floor for a few minutes if there are any things people want to throw in, or we're going to declare victory and say farewell for now. Madison, in DC, I will say the ERA is hosting an event in New York City for Climate Week on Friday, the 27th, I think. If you're interested in seeing what the other half of me is up to and coming into the city, that would be an opportunity.
Okay.
Easy, easy train trip.
Yeah. If you have a link to the event too, I'll try to see if I can attend.
Cool.
That'd be awesome.
Is here's the registration form with a little bit more information. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
I just two things. So I just glanced at my email, and during this meeting hour, I got several more map responses at the very last minute. So Jonathan, before you update, why don't you wait until I will email you at 6 p.m. Eastern today, and I'll let that be the cutoff. But for some
That's a great
reason,
handoff. Okay. And Sarah, what is it you did that caused this sudden flurry of responses?
I have no idea, because this is like yeah, this is I've sent out multiple emails. I mean, no one came on to the meeting that I invited them to, but I also think that, so my original call was in May, and then I had, sent out additional emails over the summer. So I think some people just were offline over the summer, probably.
There you go. Okay. And you've worn them down. That's great.
Yeah.
What was your second point?
That I'm happy to, I'm gonna update all of the, I'm not gonna bother with the inactive chapters yet unless they come to me and tell me that they're active, but all of the active chapters I will update and correct their e-NABLE names. And those I will color code in light pink. So Jonathan, as you're going through, obviously, if I missed any and they're not light pink, they still could be, but I think I will catch them all. And then you can just copy them. And then the last thing, John, I wanted to ask you, will you be at the town hall on Friday?
Well, that's a good question. Friday, I'm going to an event in New York, which goes from yikes. Probably not. Why do you ask?
Well, because I'm concerned about Friday because so last week we had a lot of prolonged power and internet outages. When that happens, my computer doesn't work, my phone doesn't work, I can't. So in case we have a power outage during the meeting on Friday, I just want to make sure that if I'm not able to, someone can hand hosting over to John. And I mean, I really want to be there. There will be a great guest
understand.
there will be a great guest presentation on Friday, so I hope, I guess,
Okay,
John,
first of
you'll have
all,
to watch the recording, but Jonathan and Madison, I hope you can, come and see Day Undefined presenting on adaptive tech.
um,
Um,
who's the speaker on Friday?
so, it's Day Undefined, so Kate and Liam from Day Undefined, and I'll, drop a link to their website in the chat.
Okay, I think you need to, day undefined. Oh, that's cool. I'm wondering whether Madison could be trained to be your backup host. For example, for town hall meetings. Madison is 11 to 12 every other Friday. Potentially a time you could be counted on or recruited for when Sarah's not going to be there.
It might be tough because sometimes I'm teleworking, but sometimes I'll be in the office for work. So I don't know if I can, I guess
Well,
I don't know if I'm like might be
what are you gonna
reliable.
do first? Because we're paying you. I don't think we're paying Jonathan, but no good deed going unpunished.
But
Jonathan, could you be
Well, hold
trained?
on. You don't
What?
need to be, you don't need to be available for the full hour because for the town halls, Jeremy hosts and live streams those meetings. I live stream all the other ones, but Jeremy live streams those meetings. He's just not the host, so someone needs to be there at the very beginning to hand over hosting to Jonathan, and then you can leave. And I'm just worried that obviously I'm planning to be there. I mean, I recruited the
No, I
guest
get it.
speakers for Friday, but if internet goes down and power goes down, there's nothing I can do, and I won't even be able to text you to say I can't be there. So
So isn't it the case that if he had the enable events login, he could, to Zoom, he he knows how to do all of this.
since the switchover, he has not been able to, like, he knows how it maybe, like, he knows how it works, but since the switchover, he has not been able to start the meetings without me signing on and handing over hosting power to him. So
Even if you give him the login, the Zoom
it's
enable.
all that we all have the same login.
Well, but is he logs in as enable events and he still can't do what you do?
I don't know, but I'm about to email both of you, so I'm just concerned because of
Well,
the,
it's an appropriate concern.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pin down what the solution is. But I know there's one in there and I'll leave it to you to come up with it, but I cannot count on subbing for you on this Friday. And we should have a backup plan for other Fridays as well. And I can't imagine, except possibly for the phone verification, why Jeremy can't log into the Zoom with the enable events login and password and then do everything you do.
yeah.
So talk to him and see what we need to do.
Okay,
All right.
sorry.
It's okay, Sarah. And by the way, I think your world tour was incredibly productive, so no apology
Good.
needed. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.